Why do immigrants have trouble finding employment in the US? The most significant obstacles to immigrants continuing their professions in the US include legal status, the process of exchanging information, the license and certification process, a lack of employer acknowledgement, awareness of culture, and the language barrier. It's a long-standing American tradition to blame immigrants for the country's problems, especially during challenging economic times like the one we're currently experiencing. Anti-immigrant sentiment has recently increased, especially in regions of the country where there are many immigrants. Public opinion polls show that the public distinguishes between legal and illegal immigration, and that the public has a declining opinion of unauthorized immigrants. One of the most pervasive misconceptions about immigrants is that they take American employees' jobs, abuse the system by receiving excessive amounts of government assistance, and generally damage the economy. A California field poll conducted in August 1993 found that 39% of respondents felt that illegal immigrants were stealing jobs away from Californians. But in order to foster a climate that is more receptive to immigrants' rights, these are all falsehoods that need to be debunked. Despite what many people think, immigrants do not supplant American workers in the labor force. Instead, they establish new companies, spend their money on products and services made in the United States, pay taxes, and increase the productivity of American companies to create new jobs. The economy benefits from immigration, not the other way around. The United States, like every other government, has a right to impose restrictions on who is allowed entry and to uphold the integrity of its internationally recognized boundaries. It also has the authority to expel anyone who is unlawfully present in the country. This, however, also holds that the government must abide by the legal and humanitarian standards of international law that are binding on the United States, and that the power to exclude and deport must be used fairly, humanely, and in accordance with constitutional norms of due process and non-discrimination. Famous economists were polled by the American Immigration Institute in 1990, and 4 out of 5 thought that immigration was good for the economy. Nobody asserted that immigrants hurt economic development. According to a 1994 study on immigration and unemployment by Richard Theyre and Lowell Galloway of Ohio University, which covered 100 years from 1891 to 1991, higher percentages of the population who were born abroad have historically been associated with lower unemployment rates. According to the study, immigrants boost overall output and labor demand, are frequently very productive, and encourage capital formation through high saving rates. In the US, there are currently between 9 million and 12 million unfilled positions, and this high number is hurting the economy. You're talking about a loss of production of around $1 trillion per year if these positions go unfilled. Millions of people desire to work in the United States at the same time. If they're going to emigrate, it's still the brightest city on the hill for the majority of people in the world. The United States continues to be the most favored destination for emigration worldwide, according to surveys conducted by Ipsos. It's obvious that the US has a significant pull factor for immigration. The world's largest economy is its own. However, despite claims to the contrary, many firms are prohibited by American immigration laws from recruiting unskilled foreign workers. Joe Biden's 5 million illegal immigrants are about to displace you and your work. On this, the public is evenly divided. According to a Cato Institute survey, 51% of Americans are concerned that immigration might result in fewer jobs being available. The border situation is still ongoing in the meantime. Unauthorized immigrants. 2.7 million interactions occurred at the border in fiscal year 2022. In a sort of rush, it's the people who arrive at the border who get to decide who filled this ostensible labor shortage, rather than the US Congress and the people who supported it. Both in terms of the number of people breaking the law and the fact that our legal immigration system is currently experiencing backlogs unprecedented in American history, the immigration problem is currently of historical proportions. How the economy is harmed by US immigration policies. There are not enough workers in the US. It's been like this for a while, and the math just does not work out with only 4.8 million unemployed people and roughly 10 million available positions. In the meantime, a sizable portion of the US population is retiring from the workforce. As the aging population decreases, innovation will fall since the factors that fueled economic expansion will eventually run out. Just take a look at the population statistics for the US. In the US, there were roughly 15 elderly or retired adults for every person of working age in the 1970s. That number is now 25 or more. In the last 10 years, there has been a tremendous increase. Fewer young Americans will be available to fill the vacant positions because the US birth rate is also dropping. We have a lot of young people, which the US really needs. They're eager to go, and all that's actually required is that you comprehend the benefit to the nation. However, if we choose to bring in a greater number of young people to work as immigrants, we must do in a fair and lawful manner. Trump has pledged to reenact new immigration laws that will enhance the American economy and job market throughout his campaign and as president. Trump's conviction that immigrants are stealing job prospects from American workers is one of the driving forces behind his proposed policies, which include the construction of a new US-Mexico border wall, more border officials, and tighter deportation procedures. They're taking our jobs, he claimed in July 2015. They're replacing us in manufacturing. They're stealing from us. They're killing us. Trump has pledged to expand the number of US Border Patrol agents to an unprecedented 26,370 in one of his first aggressive efforts to reduce the number of immigrants entering the country illegally and their impact on the labor market. To stop immigration into the United States, Trump has also suggested erecting a wall along the border between the United States and Mexico. Since the beginning of his campaign, President Trump has prioritized building a border wall. Trump recently threatened to shut down the government at a campaign event in Arizona if Congress does not provide the funding for the construction of a border wall. According to Felbab Brown, many of the physically tasking jobs held by illegal workers in the US are jobs that Americans don't want, including gutting fish or working in farm fields. Fixing immigration is not, in her words, about deporting people in large numbers, but about setting up a legal visa system for jobs that Americans don't want. And it has to do with giving American workers access to better educational options, retooling their skills, and safety nets. The biggest documented number of migrants entering or attempting to enter the United States over the southern border occurred in 2021 at the same time. No reasons exist to believe that this won't continue in 2022. These migrants, who are mainly from the northern triangular nations of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, are in a rush to enter the US labor force as they're trying to escape unstable and violent environments. This is especially true following the economic slowdown brought on by the global COVID-19 pandemic. The Biden-Harris administration has prioritized dramatically boosting investment into Central America, especially Mexico, in response to this flow, while also admonishing Guatemalan immigrants to do not come. First off, a lot of jobs with the greatest need for workers are those that immigrants can enter rapidly. For instance, the requirement for tens of thousands of port personnel and truck drivers contributes to the supply chain issues being made worse. If immigrants are allowed to find legal avenues to live and work in the United States, other sectors where there are significant labor shortages, including restaurants and construction, which have traditionally been partially filled by immigrants, might also find new personnel. Third, there's a sizable infrastructure investment plan in the works, allaying old-fashioned worries that the imbalance between labor demand and supply will lower wages. Let's explore that a bit. The primary defense of the idea that immigrants have a detrimental impact on native workers' labor outcomes is a theoretical one that uses the most basic framework of labor demand and labor supply. Wages would decrease if labor supply increases and labor demand remains unchanged, a significant assumption given that additional workers also engage in consumption, which in turn creates demand. However, this also presumes that the economy's capital stock will remain constant, so theoretically, an increase in immigration would lower the capital-to-worker ratio, pushing wages lower. In essence, this presupposes that no capital investment is made. This way of thinking is flawed. Investments are being placed. That's exactly what Vice President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan is doing, investing in capital and increasing the amount of capital per worker in the economy. Therefore, as I previously said, now is the appropriate time to enhance the labor supply in the United States by giving immigrants legal avenues to citizenship, as well as giving millions of undocumented immigrants a route to citizenship. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also express your valuable thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, goodbye. Also spend some time watching other videos on the channel.